Good evening, Hawks fans. Welcome to another Talking Hawks game review. I'm joined tonight by Chris to go over our round one game. Well, it was a clash with an old rival, and the first time in a while we came out with a win, beating the Dons by 26 points. It wasn't a pretty win, but the Hawks showed plenty of resilience, not letting Essendon get back into the game after they looked pretty lively in that second half. Chris, how was your experience? Were you at the game? 80,000 there. Very, very lively crowd.
Yes, it was. That was good and exciting to be back in Melbourne after a first round 0 in Sydney, which I went to as well with Matt. Different atmosphere than the Sydney game. But yeah, we got off to a cracking start, and in the end, that was the difference in the game, really.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the first half really was when we stood out as the more dominant side, but by the end, they definitely tried to work their way back into it. But luckily, we got a few settlers here and there when they were quite needed to, just maintain that scoreboard pressure and, ensure that we got the win. If you look at the stats in that game, we lost a lot of those stats, especially if you look towards the midfield. More stoppage clearances rather than centre clearances, but they really did beat us up in some of those areas, which is good to see that we could still get a win from that. Maybe last year, the year before, we lose off the back of a bad stat game like that. But yeah, very mature win to get it when things were going against us.
Yeah, I only literally just looked at the stats in the last hour myself, and I didn't realise how lopsided it was. I know Sam Mitchell sort of touched on it during his press conference, but yeah, there was some damning stats there that were really in their favour, but I felt like we were in control. I don't know if it's because we had the lead, but I think we just used the ball better, and obviously we were much better with our inside 50 entries converting.
Yeah, exactly. That was the main thing, wasn't it? Con hit it on the head here. We were just way more efficient, which we should be as a now, side that's a little bit more mature than we have been in the last few years, and having some elite kicks off the back line. It was thankful that we have that, safety net falling back on our good kicks, because it really does, help our game get going. We can see how easily teams can score from turnover if you misplace the kick. So thankful, we have the likes of Amon, Scrimshaw, Sicily, all those guys down back there.
Yep. Tom Barras, I'm loving what he's bringing to the team.
Yeah.
Didn't hit the stat sheet massively, but he's just so calm and reliable. And anytime the ball's in his area, he just backs himself to either spoil or mark. And he's such a good user of the ball as well. So loving what he's bringing. Yeah,
TB's been the one who's really standing out. Maybe I thought Josh Battle would have the more hot start to the season, but especially after we saw Barras in the documentary saying at the start of the season, he was just running in the wrong positions, etc., things like that. So, it's good to see that he's standing up. I mean, Battle's still done some great things, which is good to see. But, I'm glad to see how quickly he's slotted in to that back line. Speaking of that back line, it's probably going to look a little bit different, or maybe not, now that we've had Frost coming in off as a sub, which is interesting. We run that 2 weeks in a row. But Scrimshaw, first of all, concussed, potentially. Oh, no broken nose, was it in the end? Or maybe there was something like that.
No, cleared of facial structural damage. So, I believe I think he's had his nose redone just to, I guess, reset it. But that wasn't going to affect him missing any games. But apparently been given a 3-game suspension for his little misconduct.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it's one of those weird ones where if he didn't get concussed, well, it's 0 weeks, maybe you're fine. And then as soon as he got concussed, it's bang, 3 weeks and you're out, which I think is, pretty strong punishment for what wasn't a careless incident. But I wonder if that's something we're going to appeal at some point. I would think so. I think 3 weeks is a lot. I could see it potentially getting down to 2 or 1, but I don't know. I feel like we haven't been too lucky at the tribunal, so we'll see what happens.
I wondered, my thought process was, because of the concussion protocol, he's going to miss 2 weeks, and they didn't want to give him 1 or 2 weeks that he was going to miss anyway. So my gut feeling is they've tacked on an extra one. And I think that also the other thing was Jordan Ridley was concussed as well. So that's probably just added extra time to his penalty as well.
Yeah, for sure. Ridley's one that has unfortunately had some concussion issues in the past, I think, as well. So maybe, if it was someone else, they wouldn't have got concussed as easily. But unfortunate, we, send all the love to Ridley's family because, concussions are horrible, especially when you're getting them multiple times. But Scrim as well still got concussed in a later incident. So it's an interesting one. We'll be without him for right now 3 weeks, could be less, but let's just imagine 3 weeks, which is the Carlton game, the GWS, then the Port Adelaide game. A lot of important games there. Some we need to be getting some wins with. So hopefully, Frosty just slips right in. Is that what you think, Chris?
Oh, I'm not sure, and it's been interesting why they've played him as the sub, and I was wondering if it was maybe he wasn't match fit, but they didn't want him to miss, or they didn't want to play a fully fit player as the sub. They'd rather than get a full game at Box Hill. Talking about Box Hill, can't find much info, but they did win 115-74 versus Essendon's VFL team. Right. And it's about all the information I can give you. Have you got anything on the VFL?
No, I don't actually. They get into games, I think, in a week or so. Hopefully, sometime soon. So we'll get a better look there. But I think CJ is one that is getting some VFL time now that could very well come in and be a sub. Now Frost just moves on field and CJ moves into the sub role. That's an interesting one, but that's something we might touch on a bit later as we get towards the Carlton game. Let's go back to the Dons game. Who did you like? There's a few standouts, but give us one, Chris.
Well, Carl Amon, I don't know if the opposition is not paying enough attention or he's just getting off the leash, but he's so important in his use of the ball and moving from defense to offense. 93 disposal efficiency, 2 goal assists, 7 score involvements, 643 meters gained. How can the opposition let him do that?
Yeah, he sometimes even goes under the radar in, the Hawthorn fan base. So, it doesn't surprise me that he's going under the radar for other teams. But, he's just so important. I wonder if anyone's going to start throwing someone to him to try and tag him at some point later in this year because he's just been so useful, obviously, this week and last week as well now. So, thankfully, I think Sis talked about in an interview after last week how he just knows his role inside out, knows exactly where to be at all times. And he just, he continues to show that every week and combine that with some elite kicking skills. He's just, the perfect guy to have off that half-back line.
Well, they have been tagging Sicily, and then you throw in someone in the midfield, whether it be Daisy or John Newcombe. They're already tagging 2 of our players. If they tag a third, it really makes them very defensive, doesn't it? So I can understand why they can't tag too many people, But I don't know if Frost comes straight back in. You do have a few options. I know Jai Sarong was so good last year, sort of a similar size as Scrimshaw. Probably could fill that spot. You got Henry Huswaite, who's been banging the door down. Like I said, CJ's another one that could be considered. So I don't know if it's automatic, but it does make sense if Frost does play that full-time role and somebody else comes in as a sub.
Yeah, as I said, I would love to give a few of these kids a chance, but I think especially that we've been winning. I know Mitchell doesn't like to change things too much after some wins, so he would like to back in the same team again, and I'm assuming that will be with Frost and maybe I assume a different sub now. But I think who's some of the others that have played well? We haven't talked about, one of our first messages today was about how the Mosquito fleet is back. Well, absolutely, for sure. It was good to see them rebound so quickly off poorer game for nearly the whole group of them.
Yep.
So rebound instantly 1 week later and just stepped up when we needed them.
Yeah, I don't know even if Mitchell would have had to say anything to them. I think they would have been disappointed themselves not hitting the scoreboard in the first round. But like you said, Morey 3 goals, Watson 3 goals, Ginnivan 2 goals, Hardwick 2 goals, CMAC 1 goal. So from those small forwards, they definitely got the job done and they were the difference on the day.
Yeah, Yeah, for sure. They didn't have really any answers for them, especially Watson early on. He just looked lively, wanted to get on the board after what was a slow start to the season. So good to see Watto back out there being his best self. But yeah, I think Maury as well, just like he's so consistent for someone in a role that isn't consistent week to week. He as a player is just so consistent. We know what he's going to bring every week. I wonder, I'd like to see him maybe now with Warple out a little bit more in the centre, into centre bounces. I've really liked his work in there, but yeah, what do you think, Chris? You think that's an option?
No, I agree with that, and he did it a lot more frequently last year. I don't know if what's changed from the centre setup, but interestingly, with Ward coming in, I thought he may have spent a bit more time in the midfield. But he only had 2 centre bounce attendances, which
Very
surprised
odd.
me. I didn't actually notice that. And one of them, he absolutely flew, got the ball, and big kick inside 50. So that looked really impressive. And when I looked at the stats, I was like, oh, but he actually got 3 clearances in total. So he must have been doing better around the ground, I guess. But 536 metres gained for Ward. So that's 73% disposal efficiency. So not a bad first up effort from him.
Yeah, I thought Ward was kind of one of the ones who ended up playing better in the second half than he did in the first, unlike a lot of our other players who played better earlier. He kind of warmed into the game. I think just when he makes a howler, it's very obvious because he's quite, he likes to think things through. So he takes a second to get a handball off sometimes, a second to decide where to kick. And if he kicks straight to the opposition, it gets pretty obvious. But so there was a few moments that were just quite frustrating to watch him. But I thought overall, I mean, you look at his stat line and it's a great stat line, especially for the role he was in. Another, kind of whipping boy in the past has been McGuinness. He's one that I don't know what his kind of role is. I feel like he's not a very effective forward, but when he gets near the ball, he has seemed to be doing some okay things recently. I just seem like he refuses to tackle at the moment. I see him wandering around or missing tackles, which is normally his game, especially as, an ex-tagger. But, yeah, I'm not sure what's the go with McGuinness, but he is improving his skills for sure. As Con points out here, his kicking is going well, but I'm just not sure if forward's the right role for him at the moment, but he did do some good things in that last quarter, especially when the game was kind of getting a little bit antsy there.
Yeah, Peter Allen's mentioned, why didn't we get Finn to go to Caldwell? Because Caldwell dominated. And it's a fair comment. I don't know exactly where Nash was sort of how defensive he was being as a tagger versus just playing in the middle, but yeah, it definitely could have been a move that they could have executed with Finn, considering he was just, so-so.
I wonder if that's something they start to think about a bit more. It seems like they've completely gone off the tags, but they're kind of coming back into vogue. I mean, we got, our team's been double tagged the last few weeks. A lot of other teams are getting tags as well. So I think maybe it's something that gets brought back, when Finn Mag has that good matchup. But yeah, who else stood out to you? Let's go for someone else that's had a good game.
Well, Fabio's just mentioned Harry Morrison out this week for CJ. But I think Harry Morrison's been very underrated, and I think he's playing his role exceptionally well. And talking about tackling, he is sticking his tackles really good too.
There was that one passage where he looked really good. I think, unfortunately, Harry just had probably a frustrating matchup for him on a lot of the night. Harry Jones, who's a very tall boy. Yep. It's a tricky matchup, and he's a good run all day type of player as well. So it is a tricky matchup for someone like Harry, who's more just keep moving, keep the ball forward, all that stuff. So it was a trickier matchup, but I don't think, Mitchell doesn't like to drop many players off winning performances unless there's another superstar waiting in the wings off injury. So I don't think he'll be going anywhere. But yeah, I think Harry always gets underrated in the end just because he doesn't do the fancy things that a lot of the other blokes in the team now are doing. But yeah, he's just workhorse in the background.
Yes. And what you're asking for some other plays, Sicily, unbelievable again, 24 disposals at 92% disposal efficiency, 7 intercept possessions, 5 score involvements, 620 metres gained. Like, you can't play too much better than that, really.
No, yeah.
As far as a captain leading by example, he just keeps doing it week in, week out at the moment.
And no forward time really this week. They opted to.
They chose Weddle.
Yeah, that's right. Who I thought was a good option, but they kind of reverted on that as soon as he kicked the goal. Like, as soon as he kicked the goal, he went straight back to the back line, which was an interesting choice. But yeah, one thing about Weddle's game is that I think right now he's not getting involved enough. Would you be able to check the stat line for me? I think it was something like 6 disposals.
Yep, I'll have a quick look. But yeah, that goal he kicked did come at a very important time.
Yeah, and he's a great shot on goal as well. Yeah, just a 6 for Weddle. I just double checked. So yeah, I don't know if that rolls off the back line is getting him involved enough as we want, as this potential future superstar in the making, to just be getting the 6 touches. So I wonder what they're going to do now to try and get him into the games in future, because we really need to be seeing his run and carry a bit more. But I know Sam Mitchell said on a radio interview to the start of the year, he said, we want Weddle to be in the back line, work out that role for this year and not move him around too much, so he really learns his one role. But I think, he had his best game last year against Carlton. Could he do that again? That'll be interesting.
Yes. Well, let's hope so. I mean, all the other players who had a down week last week pretty much responded this week. So hopefully he's one of those ones who wasn't as good as others this week. But, I mean, it's a team effort. And, yeah, sometimes you just find yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time, or you're in the right place at the right time, and it just wasn't his day. But at the end of the day, the team got the win as a whole, and that's really important. As like Mitchell said, we lost a lot of important stats, yet we still managed to come away with the win. So it's really impressive. Yeah.
It's good that you can get a win, but still have a lot to work on for next week, which is good. You don't want to go into 2-0 is great, but you don't need to be going into any games being like, yep, we're going to win this, don't even worry about it, things like that. We don't need that type of hubris, especially against a team that's going to be probably challenged in the media the entire week in Carlton, who lost to Richmond, which was hilarious to watch. But I think it'll be an interesting game. They're not going to play like that again this week. They're going to be, pressure, everything. Teams respond, especially when they've got the talent, and they have the talent to respond. So it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park, that's for sure, which I've seen some Hawthorn supporters saying, which is just ludicrous in my opinion. I think, I don't know how well we're going to go, but we need to be showing up strong.
Yeah, well, I'm expecting them to respond pretty hard after that. I think they would be pretty disappointed losing to Richmond. It's a fascinating battle to watch, but they really choked hard. So, yeah, as long as we keep up what we're doing, put the pressure on from the start, which we've done both weeks, gone out to a quick start. It's so much easier playing footy when you're in front than chasing behind. So, but we've also set that expectation now. I guess the media's given us a hard time if we deserve to be, as fancied as we are. But yeah, we've had this really good start to the season with, like you said, lots of improvement still to come. So, we can go 3-3. But I would really like to see that margin quite high against Carlton.
I think, 3-3 is what I wanted from the first 6 before the season even started. And I didn't think we would beat Sydney, so that's already one up there. But, I think I knew, we needed to get this win over the Dons, which we did, thankfully, because we don't want to be losing games where we should be winning. So, great to see them go out there. I thought it was good to see us back out on the G again, for sure. I think that's really where we thrive as a team, just not only, playing wise, but, off the atmosphere of the, 80,000 crowd, the little boys, like all the little kids love getting around all the guys, and just so amazing. As someone who was there, it was great to see, and they just thriving off of it.
Yeah. Thursday night game. It's going to be interesting.
Short break.
It is a short break. So like Sam Mitchell said, they'll probably have a pretty light week on the track, but I guess they can work on whatever they need to improve on verbally. They don't necessarily need to do it on the training track. But yeah, Thursday night, it's been good to be in the prime TV slots at the start of the season compared to last year. Yeah,
that's true. It's really good to see. I think we, in the background, a lot of, the Hawthorn admin people were fighting for a bit more TV spectacular for the Hawthorn team, and thankfully we got it this year. And, haven't let down yet by, having some good games. So hopefully we don't let them down again on Thursday. But, yeah, this six-day break is going to be tricky. Then we go into another game and then we have a bye. Oh, no, we played GWS then the bye. So, yeah, it's still a bit of footy to go, but I think some of the teams talked about having a little bit of footy under your belt is actually being beneficial compared to teams coming off fresh. So maybe a bit more experience into this season so far will be good for us next week.
So we've copped a bit of flack about the umpires. There was a few shockers. Went our way. I think we probably had the rub of the green, but I heard them explain that rush behind where they gave away the free kick, that he had 4 meters and he had time to get a disposal away. That's why they called it that rush behind. The way I saw it, I thought it was the wrong call, but yeah, it was interesting. What were your thoughts on that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I was happy it resulted in a Hawthorn goal. I mean, I heard, hearing the umpires explain it, they seemed to be on the same page that it was definitely meant to be a free kick. But, we heard, I mean, I'm not going to have an opinion. They know what they want to do. I think I feel like the last couple of years we've kind of been maybe on the lesser side of getting some of those, free kicks. But, in our prime, it was always, free kick Hawthorn. I saw that thrown around again, so maybe we're back.
Hopefully. We're due to have the better side of the whistle. But, take them when you get them, I guess. It's the only thing the game has that's out of our control, really, is what the umpires do. So, take them when you get them. Yeah,
and it looked like, as Con pointed out, there was a pretty clear one, you think, to the Wiz. Yeah, but I think I saw a good comment up here from Tom about putting Day at full forward. I think that's a very interesting point. It got tagged again in this game. He's nearly going to get tagged every week. GWS have Bedford. Next week, they'll put some work into him with either Hewitt or I think Chincotta's injured, which makes he's their normal tagger, but they're going to put work into him. I think, Port Adelaide, they have Drew. It's not the best run of games for Daisy, who would want to get his season off to, continue off with that awesome first half against Sydney. But they're going to have to do something with him. He can't just be sitting there getting tagged an entire game. I think something about, moving him forward, even moving him back. We sometimes forget he started as, a skinny little halfback kid. He knows how to play down there. He can take a great mark. Maybe that's another option too. I mean, I know we've got stacks of players back there, but I think we need to do something about that because it's starting to get a little bit concerning that one of our players is so susceptible to a tag. And Dry Newcombe went okay. My standards for him are so high. I mean, I'm still thinking about the finals from last year, and that's where I want him to get back to. So maybe we need to see a bit more from Dry Newcombe if Daisy is getting put away, but maybe Newcombe's one that just takes a second to get into the year. We saw he had a slow start last year. Maybe he's going to have a little bit of a slow start this year. But, it's an interesting one. What do you think about the way our midfield's working at the moment?
Well, it's working well, and if somebody's getting tagged, whether it be Jai or Daisy, they seem to the other person seems to step up. And like you said, Daisy's got to learn to navigate a tag when it happens. Normally, you would have another player help you out. I guess Nash is that big body in there to do that. Jai's got a big body, so when they see it happen, they just need to block for him a little bit more. But at the same time, you can't be too defensive like that either, because at the end of the day, they're all good midfielders. So they just need to win the ball. That's got to be the focus, winning the ball. If we win the ball, then a tag's useless, isn't it?
Yeah, true, exactly. I think Jeb probably has a good point here, talking how important Warps is. He goes very underrated in the importance for this midfield, for sure. So thankfully, he is not out too long. Should hopefully be back by gather round. But keen to get him back. But I think for now, Mackenzie and Ward can do the job. But I wonder, with Hustwaite waiting the wings, if he has stellar games at Box Hill and we, drop a game here or there, will he get his opportunity? I would like to see it.
I'd love to see him. Yeah, like we seen the pre-season. Was it Full Sweat? Is that what it was called?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sam Mitchell saying you're doing everything we expect of you. You've improved. It's just hard to get into the side because everybody else is just that little bit better at the moment. So it is a bit of a worry that there'd be other clubs sort of sharking around players like him. If they're not getting an opportunity, that they might be tempted to, move to another club and get more opportunity. But hopefully he just keeps, doing the right things and he'll get his chance at some stage.
Speaking of another big bull in the midfield, we had Nashi get his 100 games, which is amazing for him to see. There's only a handful of Irishmen that have come in. Very few have gone into the midfield. And it's, there was one point where, and hopefully Nashi knows this, where he looked a bit like a lost cause. We didn't know what we were going to get from him. Clark was parking him in the forward line because he was so tall. And he just didn't look like the player he is now, which is another one that's so important to that midfield. He's so strong. He's far and away the tallest midfielder in the league, which is unbelievable. I just love what he brings. And even though he has, some odd moments with disposal in hand, he still stands out on the ground every week.
Yeah, it was like you said, it was a unique path for him to, I guess, be explored in different positions. And Sam, I guess, identified the height and the body, the strength. He's good utility to when he's effectively the size of Cripps for Carlton.
Even taller,
maybe not, it's skillful, but I mean, when you got that body, it's running against smaller guys that are 10 kilos lighter than you. You've got a huge advantage in that midfield, and he definitely uses his body to his advantage. So, he's still evolving. He's improved so much from when he started. So, I mean, let's hope he's still got a little bit more to improve.
For sure. I think
he's reached that father-son goal now, so hopefully he can produce some good seedlings there.
Of course. Let's maybe move on to the forward line. Another topic of conversation that's been coming up in Hawthorn spaces is about running Chol as that singular tall forward. Now, we haven't shouted out Chol. We had an average game against Sydney and really showed up against the Dons, which was nice to see. And they don't have a scrub backline either. So, it was great to see him standing out. I wonder, when is it time to maybe pull the trigger and bring Gunston in? Is that something that's going to happen soon? I did see, apologies to who commented this because it was a while ago, but potentially bringing Gunston to do a role on someone like Wiedering, something like that next week. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing that. But, I saw Gunston in preseason. He looked fit. He wasn't looking like an old man. He was looking really good. Nelly even better than what I saw in preseason last year. Slotting goals. I think he kicked, 4 or 5 in multiple different practice matches. When do you think we'll see him, Chris?
I'm unsure. And my expectations pre-season was that probably Gunston and Bruce were going to be sort of used as a sub a lot. Just, the old men resting their bodies and just being such good, when they come on the ground, how much of an impact they have. So it's really hard to say. And to know where Mitchell and the coaching staff's heads are at. It's great playing all these kids because that's what we need to get the games in the kids, but you don't want them to lose touch either. It'd be interesting to see. For mine, I just can't see them the way the team's going, getting a game at the moment. If you're going to play another tall, is it? Well, he's not even a tall; he's more of a mid. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that I think if he doesn't play this week and we lose, he's definitely gets brought in against GWS and will play that kind of role on Taylor, who's looked absolutely sublime these last 2 weeks he's played. So we'll need to, address him. I think that's something we'll definitely see happen if we do get the loss. But it's interesting. I wonder, if he'll get some time in the VFL, maybe just to keep match fit. But as you said, I did think they would be used as some subs, but we haven't seen it just yet. Maybe this week, Brucey going back to his sub role. We'll see.
Well, they've had a couple of tough games, so they may rest some players. I know it's a bit early, but with such a strong list, they may just rest some players and rotate through those forward, Roost and Gunston, and give them a run just to keep that fitness up. But,
yeah, it could be interesting. Wonder how the upcoming bye works into that as well. But for sure, an interesting one. How that forward line is going to look by the end of the year. We know we haven't had an update on Deer in a while. I think it's going to still be a little bit of time before we see him. Mitch Lewis about the mid-season buys. So it's really going to be interesting how this forward line looks by the end of the year.
Yeah, well, that'll totally change the structure, playing that second tall. And will it, have a negative effect, or will he just come straight in and it'll work? It's tough to say because we've played without Mitch Lewis for so long now. But yeah, it would make sense to have two big forwards rather than one big forward and five smalls.
Yeah, that's what I would think too. And I think that would really help someone like Chol. If Lewis was there, Lewis takes the first tall defender and Chol plays that second. I think that's where he can really thrive. But the last couple of years, he's kind of always been, or the last year and a half, he's been that number one tall, which is a very hard role to play, especially if you're not immensely strong like some of the other forwards are in the league.
Yeah, I'd like to see Jasper Scaife, as Brett Lear said. I think he kicked 3 goals last week against.
Yeah.
Did they play the
Borough?
Wasn't Port Melbourne? Yep.
Yeah.
So that's a good outing for him. I think watching him last year at Box Hill, he sort of lacked that chasing effort when he was, within 15, 20 metres. He just didn't bother chasing, which I think was one of the major reasons why he probably didn't get that senior game. And Rama's the other one who's played a lot of pre-season forward role. And, geez, he'd be handy as a backup ruckman for Big Leaky, who's, shouldering a big role. When he's playing sort of 80+% of game time as ruck, which is phenomenal effort, and he's doing such a good job. But, yeah, to have a bit more of a chop out would be handy, I think.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't spoken about Meek's game today. I mean, they double teamed him really all night. They had Nick Bryan and Draper both on him, working him away. I mean, they knew how important he was to our side. They did their research. But yeah, he still, trucks along. It looks really good, tries to get first service. I like what he does around the ground for someone so big. He doesn't become completely useless once the ball goes to ground. He can actually lay a tackle, get a contested possession, clunk a mark here and there. I'd like to see that a little bit more because he does seem to have strong hands, but he's not getting to as many contests that I like. But I do like what they're doing. They are moving him more forward of the ball. So he is another option in that forward line as well, which is good.
Yep, I agree with that. But, he just keeps soldiering on. So hopefully he can play that solo ruck if that's the direction that Sam wants to take. But, geez, if he goes down, it sort of leaves a bit of a hole, doesn't it? I guess Reeves has looked okay in the preseason. So hopefully he's still improving as well and can bring a bit more around the ground when he gets his opportunity.
Yeah. Tim was a big advocate in saying how, the Reeves and Meek battle is not, it wasn't as big of a gap as there was, in the middle of last year where Reeves actually, looked nice in preseason. And when I was there, I saw, we know he's got great tap work, Reeves. So I was seeing that on show, and he did get around the ground quite nicely in the first half of the practice match against Meek, or in the intra-club, sorry. And then in the second half, then Meek really kind of took over and dominated, which is something, you would expect with his tank. But I wonder if we leave any comments or questions in the chat below, but I think we might slowly get to wrapping it up now, Chris, as we've had a bit of a chat about next week already, but do you give us any tips or predictions, Chris, for the game against Carlton on Thursday?
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a chat with some Hawks and Carlton supporters in my little chat group, and that question's already been asked. So my prediction was 42 points.
Wow.
Like I said, I had high expectations, but if we can beat Sydney by 20 and Essendon by, 26 or something, I think Carlton's probably below them at the moment, especially with their injuries. So my expectations is that we should win by more than our previous 2 games.
That's interesting. That is very interesting. I don't know. I'm a bit afraid to say it, but I think I've just got a feeling that we might just get rolled over this week. Maybe only by a couple of points, but I think it could be, at least I'm predicting a close one. Okay. But as you said, I think if we get a good start, I'll feel much more confident about it, because Carlton are a mentality team. If they're on top, they can continue rolling the entire night. Whereas as soon as you put a little bit of pressure on, as we saw in the game against Richmond, they can really, freeze up. But I'm seeing lots of positive supporters in here. There's got to be one of us who says that
it's normally me who goes against us. So I'm glad it's you this time. But it's honesty. That's all we can ask for.
It's honesty. And, either way, I either look like a genius if we do lose, or I'm happy that we do win. So it's a bit of a hedge there. But I think, I'm just going to say it's close. That's all I think. I just think it's going to be close. I saw a comment about Curnow. Sounds like he probably will be back.
Oh, really?
Lots of play. Yeah, I think so. I mean, he was, 1 week away this week. So he's probably going to be a test, but he's not going to be 100% fit or match fit, at least. We know that. And, the Mackay and Curnow combination don't scare me as much as they terrified me last year, now that we have Barris and Battle, thankfully. So they shouldn't be as big of a problem. But, who do you think, if they both play, who do you think plays on each of the tall boys, Chris?
Well, I think Barras plays deeper. And then you got Harry Mackay probably plays that deeper role than Curnow, but he's not as fit, so maybe they might swap that role. But probably Barras on Harry Mackay, I think, would be the matchup I'd go for. Yeah,
I mean, they had some interesting players play on him. Richmond, Blight, Ben Miller, all those type of players, and they really dominated Harry last week, especially because they were, trying to double team him. So it's maybe something we can apply this week. But where do you think, if we do win this game, Chris, where do you think we're going to get the wins from? Is it from the midfield, our smalls, anything like that?
Yeah, that midfield and just the rebound off that back 50, just our ball use. Both weeks we've had really good disposal efficiency. So, yes, it's not that fast-moving hawk ball that we got to see last year. There's been a lot more calmer moments where we've slowed it down when we've needed to, but it's just picking and choosing those moments on when to move the ball fast. So, from turnover, scoring from turnover, but and the last, I think we did against Sydney and against Essendon, scoring from our kick out. So we did it twice against Essendon, and it was really impressive. It looks so good when it comes off. So, just that ball movement to score. It's just working for us at the moment. If we can do that, I'd like it to be better than what we did against Essendon, which was, 48 inside 50s to 58. Versus I think we had over 60 against Sydney.
I think something like that.
Really good. So hopefully we just, off that rebound and turnovers, and then hopefully the midfield sort of bounce back from that poor showing from clearance last week.
Yeah, I think that will be something that they'll really look at improving on. But I think that key part of it is that speed and pace that we do have, and our ability to kick accurately. As long as we bring our pressure and our work rate, as Fabio said before, I think that work rate's going to be really important. We've had great, I think we definitely dropped off in the second half of the Dons game, but they probably were, pretty exhausted after playing the game the week before. But especially in that first game against Sydney, like that, the work rate was immense there. As long as they bring that again, put pressure on the ball handler, make them turn it over, and just hit them the other way on turnover, we'll definitely be in for a shot. But someone like a Cripps will have a good matchup with Nashi, I think. Like, that's someone that hopefully shouldn't really trouble us too much, in the sense that where he, can get on rolls of having 35 and kicking 3 goals. I think Nashi will, be putting a bit of work into him next week as well. So, TDK is the interesting one. Tom de Koning, he's a great ruckman around the ground. So Meek's going to have his work cut out for him for sure.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, he was probably their standout player almost against Richmond. So,
Yep,
definitely. If we can restrict those two stars to an average outing, then we're well and truly on our way to getting our third straight win.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get on to this quick question by Tom here. Will all our match reviews be on a Sunday night? I think that's what we're aiming for at the moment. Do you agree, Chris? I think it works better. Last year we had it a bit easier, so we could do it after, potentially even straight after games, because we'd had games at 1:45 p.m. on a Sunday, so we could just come home 5 o'clock, jump on. It would be really easy. But now that our games are, Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday nights, it's pretty hard to jump on after, because I'll be in bed by the time that it's over. So, I think we'll try and get it done on Sundays, right, Chris?
That's the plan. It's more of a time where I guess the audience is at home, not much to do on a Sunday night, so why not talk about it? It would be nicer if it was closer to the game time. So we might change it especially for interstate games, possibly when we're a bit more available, as a lot of us like to go to the game, so it is hard to rush home and do a show. So we'll try and just keep you updated in the socials, and have your alerts set and tune in.
Yeah, exactly. Subscribe, comment, like, all those things, especially, and hit that notification button on YouTube, because that will let you know exactly when we're going. It actually gives you a notification 30 minutes before we're going live. But yeah, we'll try and get it out to let everyone know when we're going. But for now, I think Sundays are looking okay. But yeah, as you said, when we've got some away games, which will be coming up in the middle of the year, I think, could jump on after. But yeah, I think, Chris, we'll probably wrap it up there. Any more words about the Dons game, or maybe some words on how you think the year is going? Do you feel a little bit of relief that we are not having a slow start?
Well, 0-5 compared to 2-0. Yeah, no, it's a relief, I guess. As you said, you were going to be happy if we were 3-3 after 6 games. And if you'd asked me, after those first 5 or 6, if we'd won sort of 3, I'd be pretty happy, considering it was a pretty tough draw to start. So, but now my expectations have changed. Expect to knock off Carlton, and then still we do have a tough run, especially Geelong coming up at Easter. That they're looking in real good form. But relieved, I guess. It's just, it would be a relief for the players too. But you can't slack off. You just need to keep going out and getting the job done.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what you got to do. You can't get into the mindset now the whole year is going to be easy, because it's definitely not. We're going to have weeks or months even where we're not going to look amazing. But I think, what we've shown is that we haven't even, played our best. We've had a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half of where we looked really, really good. And the rest of the other time we've been pretty good, but it's nice to know that there's still that improvement to come for the rest of the year. And, premierships aren't won in March, so we don't need to be playing our best right now.
Yep, no, you're right. And hopefully we don't have any more injuries this week. We haven't had the best start with injuries.
That's quite frustrating, losing one a week at the moment, which is annoying. But as long as we've talked about at the start of the year how nice our depth is at the moment. So thankfully we've got guys to come in and fill those sort of roles, and they're not long-term injuries or suspensions really. So not too much of a worry yet, but we want to stay fit and healthy as a list. But I think that probably ends it there for us tonight, guys. Thank you for jumping on our round 1 review. Please make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. I think I really want this win. I mean, I don't like Carlton fans that much, so it'd be great to get this win. Any last words, Chris?
No, I'll be going to the game. I hope you are as well.
Yes. Yep, I think so. Should be there heading over after work. So, can't wait. And let's get this win. Once again, go Hawks.